Want to revisit the classics that made breakfast unforgettable? From gooey grilled cheese to hearty breakfast casseroles, we are diving into the ultimate comfort foods you grew up loving. Stay tuned, your taste buds are about to take a trip down memory lane. Have you ever wondered what less fortunate societies ate back in the 70s? If so, join us as we take a deep dive into the breakfasts of the poor during that era. Cornmeal mush. Today we're making it. Cornmeal mush was filling, nutritious, affordable, and easy to prepare. Essentially everything you need for an ideal breakfast. Plus, it was incredibly versatile. You could eat it like cereal, chill it for later, or even fry it up for a hearty morning meal. Slathering it with syrup before digging in was always a popular option. Back then, it was a go-to meal for low-income families, as it provided a cheap and simple way to fuel working parents and children for the hectic day ahead. Dried cornmeal was inexpensive and had a long shelf life, so you could buy it in bulk and stretch it for months. Unfortunately, with the rise of breakfast bars and packaged snacks in the decades that followed, cornmeal mush began to fade as people craved more sweetness in the morning. Here's how you make it. Mix water, cornmeal, and salt. Then cook over medium heat for 5 to 7 minutes, stirring constantly. If you prefer it like cereal, serve it in a bowl with milk and sugar. Ramen noodles. Next up, ramen noodles. A convenience meal in a packet. If you weren't slopping down ramen in the 70s, you definitely did as a college student struggling to make ends meet. Ramen has become the go-to meal for tough times, though it's unfairly gained a reputation as low-quality food. When made well, ramen can be a savory and satisfying dish. It originated from Chinese culinary traditions where noodles were a staple food. The ramen we know today is similar to early Chinese noodle soups with rich broths and flavorful seasonings. However, during the 70s, people on tight budgets couldn't afford such luxury. So ramen was often made with leftover broth from yesterday's pot roast, making it an affordable yet flavorful meal. Here's a simple recipe. Mix noodles with leftover broth, boil for a few minutes, then add soy sauce, chili oil, and ginger. Let it simmer for 10 minutes, then finish with sesame oil if you have it. There you have it, a classic 70s survival meal. Biscuits and sausage gravy. Biscuits and sausage gravy, a southern classic born out of hard times. This hearty breakfast dish likely originated in the southern Appalachian lumber mills in the 1800s. Its affordable ingredients and satisfying nature quickly made it a staple among the low-income working class. This high-calorie meal was both delicious and filling, making it perfect for laborers who needed the energy to get through their long days. The dish combined warm, fluffy buttermilk biscuits with a rich, creamy sausage gravy seasoned with black pepper. It became the ultimate comfort food, melting in your mouth with every bite. While biscuits and sausage gravy eventually fell out of favor in the 70s, replaced by simpler options, it remains a beloved dish in many parts of the country, and it's slowly making a comeback. And there you have it, a glimpse into some of the breakfasts that were once the cornerstone of daily life for families struggling to make ends meet in the 70s. Hamburger helper. When you're juggling homework and dinner, there's no time to cook a big meal. This is where hamburger helper comes in. A quick and tasty one-pan meal that's always ready to help. Introduced in 1971, hamburger helper was a lifesaver for families, especially during tough times. Designed in response to meat shortages, this General Mills product became a staple on tight budgets. Packed in a simple box, it contained pasta or rice with a packet of seasoning. Just add ground beef, butter, and sometimes milk, and you've got yourself a hearty meal. The real charm, though, wasn't just the convenience. It was the iconic mascot, the helping hand, a friendly four-fingered glove with a face that made the brand unforgettable. Bologna and cheese sandwich, nothing brings back childhood memories like the classic bologna sandwich, especially when it's paired with melty American cheese. Bologna, made from a blend of meats and spices, became a beloved meal during the Great Depression and World War II because of its affordability. By the mid-20th century, it evolved into a cultural staple for people on a budget, often served as a quick breakfast. The bologna and cheese sandwich gained popularity in the 70s and 80s as a go-to meal for migrant workers and anyone looking to stretch their dollars. To make it, grill a slice of buttered bread, add cheese and bologna, then top with another slice of bread and grill until golden. Simple and satisfying. Peanut butter and Miracle Whip sandwich. For those who grew up during hard times, a peanut butter and Miracle Whip. Potato pancakes. Potato pancakes. Now here's a dish that never goes out of style. These crispy golden beauties are one of my all-time favorite ways to enjoy potatoes. Potatoes are a staple around the world thanks to how affordable and versatile they are. Seriously, how many other vegetables can you turn into something as delightful as pancakes? Potato pancakes were once a working-class staple in America. They made their way into the US with immigrants in the late 1800s and became a household go-to well into the 20th century. The dish actually started as a Jewish specialty called latkes, before spreading across Eastern Europe in the 18th century. For families with tight budgets and busy lives, this hearty dish was a real lifesaver. The ingredients were cheap, they paired well with tons of sides, and they were super easy to whip up. Just grate some potatoes and onions, mix them with eggs, flour, salt and pepper, and stir until it's all combined. Drop spoonfuls onto a hot skillet, flatten them out, and cook each side for about 4 minutes until golden brown. Simple, affordable, and satisfying. Potato pancakes were the breakfast hero for many. Now, if you thought that was easy, wait until you see this next one. Rice aroni, reron. Today, let's talk about a classic comfort food from back in the day. Homemade rice aroni, or as some folks affectionately called it, reron. There really wasn't a bad time to enjoy this dish. It was hearty enough for breakfast and simple enough for dinner after a long day. Unlike most cereals that come in a box, rice aroni was an actual meal in itself. It was a ready-made mix of rice and vermicelli pasta, toasted in butter, then simmered with water and seasonings until tender. It was invented in 1958 by Vince De Domenico, the son of an Italian immigrant. He simply added a dry chicken soup mix to rice and macaroni. And just like that, a legend was born. It started as a regional dish in the Northwest, but soon it spread across the country like wildfire. What made it special was how it took the stress out of making a full, delicious meal from scratch. Busy families in the 60s and 70s loved it. Just heat, season, simmer, and you're done. Tasty, affordable, and easy. But by the 80s and 90s, rerun faded into the background. People grew more conscious of food additives and highly processed ingredients, so it lost popularity. Still, it was a lifesaver for a lot of folks when times were tough. Now, from one shelf-stable breakfast to the next. Breakfast in a can. Let's talk about one of the strangest convenience foods to ever hit the shelves. Hunger breaks all-day breakfast in a can. Yep, it's exactly what it sounds like. A full English breakfast sealed in a can. It came with baked beans, sausage, mushrooms, chopped pork, bacon and potato chunks, all mixed up and ready to eat. For struggling families in the 1970s, it was a quick, no-fuss way to start the day. It wasn't exactly a hit when it crossed over from the UK to the US, but for those who grew up with it, it was the definition of convenience. That said, not everyone loved it. Many found the taste underwhelming. The beans were bland, the pork was mushy, and overall, it just wasn't something you'd crave. But when options were limited, it was a quick fix to keep hunger at bay. Fortunately, our next breakfast item brings back a lot more fond memories. Scrapple sandwich. Let me introduce you to the humble scrapple sandwich, one of the most flavorful and filling breakfast bites of the 70s. This sandwich was born out of necessity and became a favorite because of how hearty and satisfying it was. Scrapple itself, a mush of pork scraps and cornmeal, was already popular by the early 20th century. But in the 60s and 70s, it really gained traction as a budget-friendly breakfast option. To make the ultimate scrapple sandwich, all you needed was a few slices of scrapple, some flour, black pepper, butter, cheese, eggs, and bread. Add some fresh orange juice on the side and you had yourself a full meal. It took a bit of time, about 20 minutes from start to finish, but the result was worth every second. Eventually, as fast food gained popularity and people began seeking quicker meals, scrapple sandwiches faded from the spotlight. Still, many households across the US continue to enjoy them to this day. Now, let's talk about another Southern classic. Breakfast grits. You haven't had a proper Southern breakfast if you haven't had creamy, buttery breakfast grits. Grits were the go-to meal for working-class families in the mid-20th century. Simple, affordable, and guaranteed to fill you up. They were especially popular among students and busy families who needed something warm and comforting before heading out. All it took was boiling water with salt, whisking into the grits and letting them cook for 10 to 15 minutes. Stir frequently and then add cheese, butter, and pepper. Stir it all up until it's creamy and delicious. Even on the busiest of mornings, grits were something you always had time for. But for people who wanted something even faster. Wheat honeys. Wheat honeys, those sweet, crunchy puffed wheat cereals, were once everywhere. These easy breakfasts were a hit with kids and adults alike. Originally released in the early 1940s as Ranger Joe popped wheat honeys, they are believed to be the first ever sugar-coated cereal. In 1954, Nabisco bought the brand and renamed it Wheat Honeys. It became a staple through the 50s, but by the late 60s, sales were already dipping. To stay relevant, the brand kept changing names, from Winnie the Pooh Great Honey Crunchers to Klondike Pete's Crunchy Nuggets. But despite these rebrands, the cereal couldn't hold onto its spot on shelves and was discontinued by the end of the 70s. Even so, for many, wheat honeys still bring back memories of simple, sweet breakfasts. Now let's talk about a cereal that did survive the test of time. Cap'n Crunch. Cap'n Crunch. Sweet, crunchy, and still going strong. This iconic cereal was created in 1963 by Pamela Lowe, inspired by her grandmother's brown sugar and butter rice recipe. It became one of the first cereals to use an oil coating to lock in flavor, an innovation that influenced the cereal industry as a whole. If you were a kid in the 70s, you definitely knew Cap'n Crunch. It was more than a breakfast, it was a part of childhood. It had the perfect balance of sweetness and crunch. Not too hard on your teeth, not too sugary. Just right. It was affordable, versatile, and surprisingly good, even with water if you didn't have milk. Cap'n Crunch wasn't just a cereal. It was comfort in a bowl for families on tight budgets. Now let's move on to something just as comforting from the South. Beans and cornbread. Few meals are as southern as beans and cornbread. This classic combo was beloved across the South for how affordable, hearty, and customizable it was. Whether baked into a skillet pie, Crumbled into buttermilk or served with creamed corn, cornbread was always a southern staple. And when paired with slow-simmered beans and bacon, you had a filling dish perfect for powering through long days. Here's how it was made. Simmer beans and bacon for about 2 hours until the beans are soft and the broth is thick. Add salt, pepper, garlic, and maybe some chili for an extra kick. Top it with cheese or cilantro if you're feeling fancy. Cheap, satisfying, and full of flavor. Beans and cornbread was the people's food. Coming up next, we shift from homemade comfort to another packaged breakfast classic. Busiest of mornings, grits was something you always had time for. But for people who wanted something even faster. Wheat honeys. Wheat honeys, those sweet, crunchy puffed wheat cereals, were once everywhere. These easy breakfasts were a hit with kids and adults alike. Originally released in the early 1940s as Ranger Joe popped wheat honeys, they are believed to be the first ever sugar-coated cereal. In 1954, Nabisco bought the brand and renamed it Wheat Honeys. It became a staple introduced in 1933 during the Great Depression as a cheaper alternative to mayonnaise, became a household name. Its sweet and tangy flavor paired perfectly with peanut butter, making for a quick, filling, and affordable meal. Spread some Miracle Whip on a slice of bread, add peanut butter on another, and you've got yourself a cheap and tasty breakfast sandwich. Mushroom soup and eggs on toast. Mushroom soup and eggs on toast was the perfect breakfast for those on a tight budget but still craving something comforting. In the 70s, many simply topped toast with mushrooms and eggs, but you could elevate it with a more gourmet twist. Sauté onions and celery, add mushrooms and chicken broth and let it simmer. Once the mushrooms are tender, blend the mixture, then cook with heavy cream and thyme to create a creamy soup. Add sliced eggs and serve over toast for a warm, satisfying meal that's both budget-friendly and delicious. Cinnamon toast. Cinnamon toast was the ultimate example of simple comfort. A childhood favorite, it was made with just 3 ingredients: bread, butter, sugar, and cinnamon. But it was all you needed to get your day started. The warm, sweet toast was a quick, tasty breakfast, perfect for those rushed mornings when you didn't have time for anything else. Toast the bread, butter both sides, and sprinkle with a mix of sugar and cinnamon. A sprinkle of sweetness that fueled families through busy mornings. Creamed tuna on toast. A nostalgic breakfast favorite, creamed tuna on toast combines the comforting flavors of tuna, peas, and creamy sauce, all served over toasted bread. This meal became a staple for college students and budget-conscious families looking for something cheap but filling. To make it, melt margarine, blend with flour, then add milk to create a creamy sauce. Stir in peas, salt, and pepper. Then spoon the mixture over toasted bread. It's a hearty meal that's as simple as it is satisfying. Grilled cheese sandwich. The grilled cheese sandwich is a timeless classic that needs no introduction. Simple, comforting, and endlessly versatile. It's the ultimate easy meal for anyone in a hurry. Just butter 2 slices of bread, add cheese and grill until golden brown and melty. Whether paired with a bowl of tomato soup or eaten on its own, the grilled cheese sandwich is a go-to comfort food for any time of day. Grilled cheese sandwich. There's grilled cheese and then there's great grilled cheese. Here's how to make the perfect one. The grilled cheese sandwich was a breakfast staple during the mid-20th century and remained a beloved classic well into the 70s, peaking during that time. This creamy, indulgent treat was simple. 2 slices of white bread, buttered on the outside with a generous portion of melted American cheese inside. It was affordable, delicious, and loved by kids, making it the go-to meal for busy families. That crispy, buttery bread combined with the gooey cheese made for the ultimate comfort food. A lot of people paired it with tomato soup as a dipping sauce, turning a classic meal into an even better one. When made right, grilled cheese sandwiches were a filling, nutritious meal that could power anyone through a busy morning. Breakfast casserole. Let's talk about breakfast casserole. It's the perfect solution for busy mornings and a satisfying, hearty meal. This crowd-pleasing dish was not only filling, but incredibly versatile, making it ideal for using leftovers. It kept well and was just as delicious the next day, which made it even more practical. Breakfast casserole could be tailored to fit anyone's taste, whether you preferred adding different cheeses, vegetables, or even making it vegan. The best part? It's simple to throw together. To make it, start by greasing a baking pan and layering cut up hash browns. Then cook sausage and onions until browned. In a separate bowl, whisk eggs, milk, onion powder, garlic powder, salt and pepper. Pour the mixture over the potatoes, top with cheddar cheese and add the sausage. Cover with foil and bake for about an hour. Remove the foil, bake for another 10 minutes and it's ready to serve. Sardine sandwiches. Our final dish today might not have the most complex ingredients, but it's certainly one of the most nutritious and practical. Sardine sandwiches are a simple yet satisfying meal that can be whipped up in no time. Packed with protein and perfect for a quick breakfast, they were often a go-to for those with busy mornings. To make this easy treat, start by hard-boiling some eggs, peeling them, and setting them aside. Toast 2 slices of bread, mash the eggs and mix them with sardines, chopped onion, tomatoes, mayonnaise, mustard and a pinch of pepper. Spread mayonnaise on 1 slice of bread, add lettuce and then scoop the sardine mixture on top. Cover with the second slice of bread. And you're all set for a filling, nutrient-packed sandwich. And that's a wrap for today's video. Which one of these meals would you try out? Did you enjoy any of these dishes growing up? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.